My name is Erastus Golden Nyamori, the second born of Mzee Koso awachni jaduong Meshak Nyamori Mawuda Njego. I am among the sons. I'm the first one, but there is a daughter who went ahead of me. She's alive, of course, anaitwa Julia, who is still around. So focus around this time is much more about Jaduong Nyamori. I grew up, of course, under him almost totally, except for a few days and years when he went away to look for employment. My first interaction was with, I lived with him. We worked in Kericho, tea estates. In my formative years, we had stayed there with my younger mom. Interestingly, my younger mom happened to be a cousin to my real mom. So the home has been very harmonious. Actually, one of the best things that Jaduong has managed to do is manage polygamy. He has treated both the families, my own mothers and even the younger one, very well. In fact, me, even when I grew up all my years, I never differentiated who is my mom and who is not, except of course because of the age. We have lived very harmoniously because of the good grip the old man put on the family management.
Jogagi pok ng'ato moro oane dhi e dini moro to koko ma ji nigi miere kama ji puonjrego ni be gikonyae gionge go. Wawinjore ka nitie wach moro to wabedo waloso kanyakla, lemo walemo kanyakla, mondo yawuoyi man go bende oyie walemo kanyakla. Onge dini moro mokikore e dalana ka ni ng'ato nie dini machalo kama. Wan mi adwe nano mane giyudano.
When my elder sister was about to go to Form 1, Mzee saw that it was going to be very difficult to pay her school fees, so he had to go out and look for a job, and he went all the way to Mombasa. I remember one song that he sang as he was leaving, when he was bidding us goodbye going to Mombasa. Kileru ko winyo Maria toko Sileru. I don't know which bird is this. I've not met Sileru, but that song stuck. Sileru ko winyo Maria toko
Mombasa. No ka nyathi maduong' men Julia timo klas 7 odhi dhi e Form 1 to tich asoyo e Kericho. Koro naparo mondo adhi amany tich Mombasa nikech Kericho to koro nasaye. Kae ma koro to idhi kanye kata itimori nade? Sileru ko winyo mariek to ko mane manawerogo wende sileru ko winyo mariek to ko.
He didn't stay long in Mombasa. He came back after, I think, 2 or so years. Another thing I remember very well about his coming back was that he came back with a full bag of clothes that he gave each of us, all the children, and even some relatives around us got some clothes from that bag he came back with from Mombasa. Soon after he came back from Mombasa, I think that must have been 72. In 1972 is actually when I joined class 1. So at that time, my father got sick, so sick that it was almost terminal. We thought he was going. He was treated in hospitals, but later on when he came back home, there is an old man who was treating in the village called Oyala. He had a small hospital in the village, a clinic. Finally, that is where Mzee went and got well back to life again. And from that time, he has not given us much trouble in his health. He has been fairly healthy after that. So we went to school, we grew up. Of course, somebody else will talk about, I'm sure somebody else will talk about his cruelness in disciplinarian actions among the children and even the village. But I remember when going to, just around the time I went to Form 1, he was able to build me a Simba when I was just going to Form 1 so that I could study without interference. Because in our region here, there was a lot of matanga, not disco, not matanga. We used to call them tea parties. There was a lot of tea partying around, and many kids failed to go to school because of that. So he built me as Himba so that I could actually concentrate in my work, school work. So I managed to go finish my secondary school.
Okay, dakika moro ma wuoynie dhie haya to chieng' bende dhie secondary. Koro giga ariyo ne ok anyal, ne tek. Aluongo joma diti to mi anyuonda ka nyaka yomo mwaloko mondo bi ong'adna rieko. Kane gibiro ng'ado rieko, owadwa moro ma dala ka owinjore go owadwa moro machielo man gweng' machielo ni dhi kwer wachno. Nyathi chokadho maber biro yudo puonj division 1. Ndalogo jo division 1 ng'ama okalo nyini obiro yudo puonj. Ang'o pod ichando ne ji ni pod idwaro tere skul nodhi haya. Bas kaluongo jogi to kobedo to jadala kanyo okoni hata jadala okadwar wuoyo iro mondo ikuong iwuo. Ato ka ichako milemo ni to nyino chako ni nyathino kadho maber en division 1 obiro yudo puonj. Ang'o ma pod nyini luongo ni ji nodwaro rambe. En gang'o ma dang' otergo nyathi skul kendo ka koro gin nyithindo ariyo, ma dhi haya, ma dhi secondary. We nyathini obiro yudo tich, kadho maber. To ng'ato ni Sakayo kamikwanga minchothon. Sakayo mokuchungo to kweni yawa e anyondwa ka. Waonge jomosomo. To be pok wayudo nyathi mokadho maber kaka bila ma nyathi ni okalo kuma dhi haya ni. Luong Mango haya ko. Ok wabiyudo nyathi bila ni. To jakwer cha to kwer mopenjo nyathini kochung' batwa ni omera ima pod idwa dhi nyime gi skul, ere gimodong' dalawu ka. Dalawu man nono. Ni ibiro yudo tich. Koro jogi notamore mane giloso rambe. Bende rambe gima ne idwaro skul en siling 1,300 to mondo inwang' pesano ne ok yot. Rambe ni nogona machaka golo rwadha e kweru mapuro. Marwadhno nang'iewo siling 85. 850. Nang'iewo 850. Koro dhiang' manang'iewo 850 ni ema namedo gi pesa manogona ga rambe. Ema ni nyini odhi ge haya, nyin machielo cha odhi e secondary. Koro ka gidhi kama to Nyasaye mariek maneno ling'. Ng'ato moro loka ni be ma ok anyuolana ma wan jolibamba biro kona ni omera ka ok idhi nyalo nyithindo ariyogi. Jal modhi e haya ni osechul ni higa achiel, higa mar ariyo akawo ni wandiko risit. To ka chieng' moro osetieko modhi e tich to uno chula pesa ma motieko go haya. Ng'ani nokawo nyini e higa achiel mochudo ni morumo to risit wakano. Kato dhi university jang' Nyandiga. Kodhi university, ndalogo university ne ok chul fees moro. Kidhi timi pocket money, chamo msara, ok kaka mandalo. Koro nyini be bet ne ber. Nong'e dhier mane an go omiyo pesa matin manonwang'o mar pocket money no nooro na moko ka. Bende akonyo go jowadgi mabang'e. Magamora go kamano. To jwang'ni makoro kawo na fees ni ok apenje, be ok adhi aywagorane ni kia gino tama. Obiro abira en maboka ni ok ibi nyala akawo ni ma. Donge Nyasaye nokonya.
And one of the also a very important thing Mzee Meshak Nyamori Anjego did to me was ability to raise school fees for me. In this village and around here, so many bright kids we were in school with. Even some who are even brighter than me did not go to secondary school because of lack of school fees. But he managed. I think in my first Form 1, he sold some 3 cattle to be able to raise money to take me to a national school. I went to Sigalagala Technical School. Soon after that, of course, there were a few harambes, which some of my uncles were not very happy about. After I finished Form 4, I was going to Form 6. Finally, I made it. I went to university, graduated with the Bachelor of Architecture, and got recruited in the army almost immediately after finishing the university. Up to that, Mzee did a lot of work for us, and especially the work in disciplining us. Our family is one of the most disciplined here. I've never had trouble. I'm the eldest among my brothers, but I've never had any trouble with them because of the discipline. I think that was instilled in me by Mzee. He is a church lover. One of the things he put us into right from the beginning was church and prayerful. I remember when we were still young, every evening before we eat, he used to call us to the meeting. Actually, there was a bell. He could even ring a bell so that the family comes together to pray before we go to supper. So that went with us. He has never stopped going to church. He used to be a choir member sometimes, but because of his polygamous family nature, somewhere in the middle, the church said, no, polygamists don't sing. Although I remember when I was in Kericho, actually my dad even became a choir master. If I remember well, when I was young, in the church in Kericho, he was a choir master. So he was a guy who has been loving music a lot. Most of the time when we are here at home, that issue of music, that's why all my brothers are choir trainers, I would say. I was one. Singing has taken me very far. I've sung in Jerusalem at the manger where Jesus was born. I sang at the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Toronto. So I'm a music trainer myself. All my brothers are also very good in music and music training. The grandchildren have also started very well. My Obed, the son of War, is doing very well in Rapogi music. They have recorded something. So that is another base, another important base that the old man gave us. His ability, his talents in music has been very well transferred to us.
Hermano wawero Kericho moko wasebedo kwa wero kae. Ni wawero wer moro ni wang'eyo ni Yesu chiegni, Yesu biro duogo. Kech gilwenje jonabo koro, pinjeruodhi manondiki mago rumo. Koro asacho ni pilich ka Yesu duogo, pilich ka Yesu duogo mayando rito. Chieng' onogo nopenjo ala, kano yudi kiongo ala, enomaki kendo nowiti e nama.